Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty huge, a massive architectural shift that Google quietly dropped at Cloud Next 2026. If you're a tech enthusiast, an enterprise architect, or an engineering leader trying to figure out your AI infrastructure strategy, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to strip away all the marketing fluff and look at what this actually means for the future of enterprise software.
So, here's the game plan for today. We're covering the agentic complexity crisis, Google's structural platform pivot, taming chaos with agent architecture, security and strict governance, TCO and vendor lock-in, and finally, the strategic AI verdict. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1. The agentic complexity crisis. We absolutely have to start with the structural nightmare that's currently keeping enterprise architects awake at night.
Think about it. To understand why Google even built this new platform, we have to look at where first-generation AI tooling completely hits a wall. Look, deploying a simple chatbot is one thing, right? You have an API, a human checks the output, it's bounded and safe. But deploying autonomous agents at scale, you're literally deploying software entities that make independent API calls, sequential decisions, and interact with dozens of back-end systems. Suddenly you're looking at your logs screaming, wait, who actually authorized that agent to access our financial records? Or which agent just called that external API? The operational complexity and governance, it's an absolute nightmare.
It helps to think of it like this. Traditional AI is basically a passive calculator. It just sits there waiting for a human to hit equals. The human provides the agency. But agentic AI? That's a hyperactive, autonomous employee. And let's be real, an autonomous employee desperately needs an ID badge, incredibly strict access rules, and probably a manager. Our current enterprise infrastructure just wasn't built to govern this entirely new class of autonomous actor.
Section 2. Google's structural platform pivot. That compounding operational chaos is exactly why Google fundamentally altered their whole enterprise playbook.
Google Cloud CEO Thomas Kurian really hit the nail on the head here. He said, competitors hand you the pieces, not the platform. That one quote completely sums up the whole vibe of the Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform. It is definitely not just another model API upgrade. We're talking about a full-stack development, runtime, and governance environment. It's a massive shift from just serving up powerful models to actually governing entire fleets of autonomous agents. They're essentially pitching vertical integration to solve your complexity problem.
Now, a really crucial point here. Vertex AI is not deprecated. Actually, scratch that. It's more like it's been absorbed. So if you're an existing customer, take a deep breath, don't panic. All your current Vertex AI services, the managed notebooks, model tuning, vector search, they're all still there and functioning. But they're now folded into this new overarching platform. The whole organizational frame has officially shifted from raw model access to end-to-end agent lifecycle management.
Section 3. Taming chaos with agent architecture. Okay, so how does this actually work under the hood?
Let's trace an end-to-end tool call in the real world. When an agent decides to act, it doesn't just go rogue in the wild. First, the agent runtime loads up the session. Then, the agent gateway steps in to authenticate the request using a totally unique cryptographic identity for that specific agent. Next, Model Armor scans the whole interaction. And only after all those checks clear is the tool safely invoked. It's pretty brilliant because it transforms abstract high-level security policies into concrete, governed, and fully auditable actions.
But, agents don't just work in a vacuum. What happens when these governed agents need to talk to each other, especially across boundaries like Salesforce or ServiceNow? Well, they use the A-to-A, or agent-to-agent protocol. It's an open protocol now managed by the Linux Foundation that basically defines how agents discover what other agents can do and how they hand off tasks without dropping the ball or losing context. And get this, it's not just some theoretical whiteboard concept. It's already running in over 150 production environments right now.
Section 4. Security and strict governance. For those of you managing multi-cloud strategies and actively sweating over enterprise risk, let's drill into the governance mechanics.
Honestly, this is the most structurally distinctive part of the entire platform. Every single agent gets a unique cryptographic identity, agent identity. That means you finally get a crystal clear audit trail for every single autonomous action. Everything gets routed through the agent gateway, which is your central, ruthless policy enforcer. Then there's the agent registry, acting as a strict catalog for approved tools. But the coolest part? Semantic governance policies.
These give you context-aware controls. For example, you could authorize an agent to read sensitive financial data, and you could authorize it to send external emails, but you can explicitly block it from doing both at the exact same time to prevent data exfiltration. It's a real game changer.
But hey, we need a quick reality check here. Hallucination cascades and prompt injections, they are still major unresolved risks in agentic AI. If an autonomous agent is firing off a chain of tools, just one hallucination or one poison prompt can cause a massive automated failure cascade. It spreads like wildfire. That is exactly why Model Armor is absolutely vital. It sits right in that architecture we just talked about, actively scanning for runtime threats and stopping those attacks dead in their tracks.
Section 5. TCO and vendor lock-in. Speaking of reality checks, let's talk cold hard cash and operational realities.
Adopting this platform is going to require a massive onboarding investment just in terms of getting your organization ready. But you really need to keep a close eye on the billing because it can absolutely bite you. The pricing here is consumption-based, and it's multi-dimensional. So you're not just paying for input and output tokens anymore. You're paying for agent runtime compute, persistent storage for your agent's memory bank, and vector search queries for retrieval-augmented generation. It's sneaky. This multi-dimensional pricing can heavily impact your TCO if your agents are out there autonomously calling tools thousands of times a day. You are going to need some serious instrumentation to accurately model these costs.
Now, when you look at this vendor comparison, Google's strategic bet becomes incredibly obvious. While OpenAI is leaning hard into closed proprietary models, and Microsoft is heavily focused on milking their massive 365 footprint, Google's doing something totally different. They're offering over 200 models, including their competitors' models, like Anthropic's Claude and Meta's Llama, right inside their platform. They're aggressively using model openness as the bait, right? But the ultimate goal is clearly to get you to lock into their highly robust governance and data integration infrastructure.
Section 6. The Strategic AI Verdict. Let's wrap up this explainer by looking ahead at the future of the agentic enterprise.
Right now, Google is heavily pushing open standards. They donated the A2A protocol to the Linux Foundation, and they're adopting the Open Model Context Protocol to basically commoditize agent interoperability. But it really leaves us with a provocative question. Will Google's open protocols actually survive commercial pressure as this market matures? We've seen this movie before, right? Openness creates this incredible ecosystem gravity that draws developers in. But history tells us that as platforms mature and shareholders demand returns, those walls often start to close in. It's a critical risk you definitely need to keep on your radar.
Ultimately, if you take only one thing away from this explainer, make it this. The unit of value isn't the individual model anymore. Models themselves are just becoming commodities. Your true defensible strategic advantage moving forward, it's your organization's ability to securely deploy and govern a massive fleet of autonomous agents. Google has built a platform betting everything that this is the future. So the real question is your enterprise ready to build it? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. See you next time.